All right, let's dive right into this. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking something I find absolutely fascinating. Have you ever felt like your brain is just operating on a completely different frequency than everyone else in the room? Maybe you have these really specific habits or ways of looking at the world that make you feel kind of isolated? Well, today, we're decoding the psychology behind these everyday mental quirks using massive amounts of community data from the No Sense channel. And we're going to visualize exactly how normal your unique mind actually is.
For example, maybe you treat your birthday like it's literally just another Tuesday, or maybe you catch yourself daydreaming, just totally zoning out while the rest of the world rushes by. Look, if you're nodding along right now, stick with me, because by the end of this explainer, you're going to see that you are absolutely not alone in this. Section 1, the quirks we all share and why you are definitely not alone. So, check this out. In a recent community poll asking about odd habits, a whopping 3,500 people voted, and some incredibly clear patterns emerged. Whether you're the type to talk to yourself, or you get completely overstimulated in loud, noisy places, or maybe you hyper-focus on random topics, or just zone out a lot, the data proves these are actually super common traits. They aren't weird anomalies at all. You're simply processing a highly stimulating world in your own unique way. And honestly, what's really wild to me here is the sheer scale of the data we're looking at today. The No Sense channel has gathered over 124,000 subscribers. Just think about that. That is over 124,000 individual minds out there actively seeking psychological answers to their everyday behaviors. Talk about massive social proof. It literally shows that thousands of people are quietly trying to understand the exact same internal quirks that you are. Moving on to Section 2, outgrowing your social world, looking at social shifts and solitude. Now, this one feels a little taboo to actually say out loud, doesn't it? But why have you been feeling so tired of your friends lately? Society's always telling us that we should be constantly energized by our friend groups. But if you've been feeling exhausted by your social circle, I really want you to feel seen right now because the data reveals a completely different reality from what society expects. When 1,600 people were asked why they pulled back socially, the answers were strikingly similar. Voters shared things like, "We just don't vibe the same anymore," or "Their energy straight up drains me." Some constantly feel like the strong one in the group, or they feel like they're just growing in a totally different direction. Listen, feeling drained or feeling like you've outgrown your friends, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It's actually a completely normal psychological progression as your mindset evolves. Basically, there's this massive, glaring gap between society's expectation, which is this intense pressure to maintain huge, bustling friend groups, and the actual psychological reality. Backed by another poll of 1,700 voters, the reality is that a lot of people end up with very few, or honestly, zero friends. And it's not because they're antisocial. It's usually because of higher standards for friendships, a much deeper need for alone time, and just a really profound sense of independence. It's an active choice, guys, not a failure. And we actually see this exact same desire for independence on an even larger scale online. When 5,200 voters were asked why they delete their social media apps, the overwhelming majority weren't doing it out of frustration with the tech itself. They were doing it simply to protect their peace. They want to escape the fake connections and just focus on real life. They are consciously curating their environment to match what their brain actually needs. Which brings us to Section 3, the burden of overthinking in dealing with that inner critic. So, when we analyze the most popular topics explored by this particular community, a very clear psychological profile of the overthinker starts to emerge. This is someone who overthinks literally every single conversation right after it happens. They even overthink their own success. And crucially, they really struggle to ask for help when they need it. What this paints is a picture of an incredibly self-aware, highly analytical person whose brain is just essentially working overtime all the time.
I actually want to pause on this one specific concept for a second, the idea of overthinking success. By definition, this is the psychological habit of overanalyzing your achievements and milestones, rather than just simply enjoying the victory. Think about how fascinating that is. Our psychology is so complex that it can take a genuine, amazing moment of joy and instantly turn it into an exhausting mental exercise of, okay, what's next? Or, wait, did I actually even earn this? Okay, Section 4, the quiet, independent achiever and winning in silence. Now here's the silver lining to all of this. Because they spend so much time observing and analyzing everything, the quiet achiever generally knows how to fix. well, pretty much everything. They achieve their goals and they win quietly. They don't need a round of applause. And perhaps most impressively, they constantly notice things that other people completely miss. Their overactive mind actually acts like this incredible superpower of observation.
There's one specific number that I think perfectly ties together everything we've talked about regarding this quiet, independent achiever. And that number is 4,600.
That represents 4,600 votes on a poll asking how people handle a major societal milestone, their birthdays. And look at this. Instead of wanting massive parties or needing to be the center of attention, the overwhelming consensus from this group is to treat their birthday like a completely normal day. Maybe they celebrate a little bit, but nothing huge. They simply don't need that external validation. They are perfectly content in their own quiet independence. Finally, Section 5, decoding your everyday mind and embracing how you think.
There's a milestone post from the No Sense channel that sums this up just perfectly. It says 100K minds, not just subscribers, people who think deeper, question more, and see what others miss. I love that because it completely reframes how we view ourselves. You aren't antisocial, you just think deeper. You aren't weird, you just question things more. So to bring this all together, these behaviors we've looked at today, from how you manage your friendships to how you celebrate your birthday, they aren't just odd little quirks. They're complex psychological adaptations. Experiencing the world this way doesn't make you strange, and it certainly doesn't mean you're broken. It defines a highly observant, deeply independent, and beautifully complex mind. And I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Look at the sheer volume of data we just covered. If thousands upon thousands of people share your exact, specific, weird habits, well, are you really isolated? Or are you actually just part of a powerful, quiet majority that simply doesn't feel the need to shout about it? Take a second to really think about that. And honestly, start embracing the brilliant way your mind works. Thanks for tuning into this explainer, and keep questioning.